Coming up next on the Big Fat Life podcast, are your own hormones working against you? Welcome to episode 113 of the Big Fat Life podcast here on the Pink Eagle Media Network. I'm your host, Dan Rosado. Before we get into today's episode, I need to let you guys know about something that's pretty exciting. We launched our YouTube channel. The Big Fat Life podcast has a YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, we will put video versions of these interviews. Now, we've been recording the video versions for a while, and some of them don't come out great because, as you may or may not know, we record these on Zoom. And in this world with internet connections, sometimes they don't always work out like you want. So the audio versions are always edited and fixed, for any sort of dropout, or if we have to sort of pick up the conversation again, and you guys don't get to hear that part because why would you want to? The video version is generally unedited unless there's some big major malfunction with technology. But we want to start putting more and more episodes, even episodes that I've previously aired on the show. So we have our first one up with last week's guest, Anthony Lally. We'll definitely put this week's show up, the video version. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in Big Fat Life Podcast. You'll see our channel and you can subscribe to it. Why would you subscribe to it? So that you get notified every time a new episode is launched. Right now, we launched the podcast on Wednesdays. The video version will be launched maybe Thursday or Friday. We're not quite sure yet, but we'll get those up within the next 48 hours of the launching of the episode. And as I said, I will definitely go back. We'll, look at some of the older episodes and get those up as well so you can enjoy that. Now, on to today's guest. I try to think of what's the theme of this conversation. After I have it, anytime I talk to any guest on the show, I think about what is the theme here? What are we talking about? What is something that we can hone in on? And it was very easy in this instance that mental toughness was the key, because our guest is a fitness trainer. He has an online fitness business. He's a fitness coach. He talks about this in the podcast, but it's his story of overcoming so many challenges along the way that really helped him to succeed in everything he's doing. And we can take that lesson and apply it to our personal journeys. Trust me, I was so inspired after this conversation. We have someone who lived in Nigeria in his formative years, didn't have all the amenities that so many of us are used to, all the simple things like running water or a working toilet. And I thought about, as he's telling the story, that it could be easy to give up. It could be easy to feel that you've been slighted by life, especially when you can compare the two, because he was born in his country and he did have some of those amenities for a while before he had to go away for a while. And those are the type of things that define this gentleman's character, because he used all the different slights in his life, or all the different difficulties and all the things he had to overcome, to really build not just his mental toughness, but how he views the world and how he presents himself to the world. It's a very important part of our conversation when he mentions how he felt and realized that it was in his control to decide how the world would react to him. So that was definitely a profound moment in the episode. Also, we get into hormones and how hormones affect our weight loss journeys. I was completely fascinated and I had a thirst for knowledge on this. And speaking of thirst for knowledge, this guy has it. He is always trying to learn something new, dig into whether it's technology or information. It drives him. Wanting to understand the human body and wanting to help other people is what drives him. So let's get to the conversation. Let's call up Iggy. Iggy Odighizuwa, welcome to the Big Fat Life podcast. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Living life.
You're a busy guy, right? You're training a lot of people. You're doing virtual training, right? How's that going for you?
It's been going really good. It's been going very good. And I love technology, allows you to connect with people across the world without having to travel too much. You know what I mean? So it's been awesome.
COVID-19 did that, right? It kind of forced us to learn how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is I was already kind of like doing that, right? So COVID just solidified the fact that I was already like had that in place in the business, and it just kind of blew everything up.
I want to get into that. I want to let people hear about what it is you do and what you offer and what your business is. But before that, I also need people to get to know you. And to do that, we need to dig into your story, man. You have an incredible story. So why don't you take us back to, you were born in Nigeria.
No,
right?
I was born in Ohio. And then when I was young, I was like 2 years old when my father sent me and my older brother to Nigeria at the time. So we stayed there for like almost 6-7 years. Right. So for most of my childhood, like my early childhood memories came from my time in Nigeria. We're living in a village. So that's like all my early childhood memories were Nigeria.
What is that like going from, a suburban town in United States and then living in Nigeria? What was that life for you there?
There was a big culture shock, but I was the biggest shock was like the fact that I wasn't there with my parents, right? So it wasn't necessarily like the environment that was a culture shock, but it was just like all these new people. I was staying with my grandparents. They looked old and scary to me. So, and then now I'm in this foreign place where I don't know what's going on. I don't know people. I don't understand the language, and everything is just different. It was terrifying.
Was there a situation that you're willing to go into about why you had to get sent there?
No, honestly, it's just tradition. So my family, it's considered like one of the royal households in the village that my family's from. So it's just tradition. You send your firstborn child, like your oldest children, to the village so they can live with the grandparents and just understand the roots, understand the culture and things like that. So it wasn't anything specific that led to it. It's just what they did. Right. And we're first generation born outside the US. So it's like,
right. They want to carry on that tradition. But what was your day-to-day life like while you were living there?
It was rough. So we don't have like normal living amenities that we're used to here. So no electricity, typically lit things up with like a lantern or candles, no running water. So typically like we'll have to travel a few miles to fetch water out of a well. And we'd use that to hand wash our clothes in the morning. And we use that to bathe ourselves in the morning. And then every morning we'd have breakfast, and the breakfast would be bread and chocolate milk, like hot chocolate. All right. So we'd have bread and hot chocolate, and then we'd walk miles to go to school. And the trip to go to school was really, really dangerous. So there's a few things that can happen. They're like stray dogs that would maul kids sometimes on the road, just like snakes. And then, there's like people driving all kinds of crazy. So there's not really like clear paths for you to walk. So there's a lot of danger going back and forth to school. And then school is rough. And then we'd have chores that we do. Our grandparents had farm animals. So they had chickens, they had goats, they had cows, pigs, so it was pretty crazy.
How did you adjust to that though? Like I would think, I know you were young, but I would think that coming from, as you said, like all the amenities that we're so used to here, to go to a place where it isn't developed, and so you have to struggle more for the basic things. Like, did that make you stronger, or did that make you resentful? Like, how did that make you feel?
It made me a lot stronger. But you just got to adapt. As children, kids learn how to adapt. But I think the biggest thing that was a void was just not having my mom, right? So me and my brother, every time we'd see like a helicopter or an airplane fly by, we'd like chase it down, like, save us, take us from here, So we still knew that this wasn't our home. And then on top of that, because we were foreign, we got in a lot of fights, we didn't choose to be there, but kids would be resentful of the fact that we have family in America, and they'd be like, oh, you don't belong here. Like, what are you doing here? And so we not only like were we in a foreign place, but we weren't often welcomed with open arms. So I had to learn how to fight when I was a kid. I got in a lot of fist fights early on as a kid.
Were you, I mean, you're a big guy now. I know you work out a lot. Were you a big guy then?
Nah.
I'm like, who wants to tussle with you, Iggy? Like, I wouldn't want that.
So no, I was a scrawny kid. I was short and scrawny with like a pot belly, which I know now was from malnutrition. You know, my belly was really, really big.
That's
So
so
I look at
interesting.
pictures of, yeah, I look at pictures of me when I was a kid and I was like, wow, like I had a big belly because I was malnourished.
Wow. All right. So you got through that. You said like 6, 7 years. So you come back to the United States. You're a teenager. You're an athlete, right? You found yourself loving athletics.
Yeah. So when I got back, we got into sports early on. My dad was still pretty traditional. And he wouldn't let us play sports when we were kids. Like we had like coaches because we're so naturally athletic. We had coaches traveling to our house, knocking on the door, begging our dad to
Let you guys play.
let us yeah, to let us play. So eventually my dad and my mom split up. My mom let us play sports. And that's when we started to fall in love with it. And it was really therapeutic to be able to like go out and play and just compete and just expend a ton of energy and aggression. And it was pretty awesome just being able to find that kind of environment that we didn't have growing up.
Isn't that some of the benefits right there of just exercise in general? Like what it does for you, not just physically, but mentally to like deal with some of the things that you have to overcome?
Absolutely. I think exercise is one of the most powerful things that we have as human beings because it forces you to kind of like work on yourself, and especially if you're pushing yourself, it forces you to be able to just like expend a ton of energy. And some of my most creative moments were during exercise where I'm like, have a problem that's frustrating me. And then I start like hit the gym or start running. And then I get this aha moment, but, oh, okay, I know how to solve this. Right. It
Right.
just allows you to return to the situation with a different perspective and a calmer mind.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I'm no doctor or scientist, but I imagine that when you do that, when you push yourself, and even when it's hard, when you get it through that physical activity, you get a bit of an endorphin rush, and you probably open up some neural pathways in your mind to just start to problem solve and figure things out and feel ready to attack those things that are not physical.
Absolutely. And for me, I think is a very I really started to understand not just like the emotional benefits, but also the spiritual benefits versus exercise and working in your body as well. And it really does give you those kind of like different pathways in your brains. It produces healthier thinking, builds your confidence. And then as you're taking care of yourself, you just are willing to take on more risk. You're willing to pursue greater ambitions because you're like, if I can do this, and what else
Right.
is possible if I'm able to put my mind to it and be consistent.
Iggy, coming back from Nigeria and getting involved in athletics and school, did anyone look at you differently because of that? Not just because you're a Black man, which we know can definitely present those type of stereotypes or those type of, maybe dealing with racism or prejudice, but coming from Nigeria, did that add any extra to that?
Yeah, I mean, the first school that I went to in the States when I came back from Nigeria, we dealt with a lot of bullying. It was just me and my brother. We're like one of like 5 African Americans, right? And then we're just learning how to speak English again. So with deep accents, didn't understand the culture. And I knew how to defend myself. So I was letting these kids bully me just because I didn't want to cause any trouble. I didn't want my mom to be stressed out. I didn't want to get in trouble with my father. And so I was letting this happen. And at one time, I remember one of the kids stabbed me with a pencil, right? And I snapped, right? So, and I started wailing on the kid. And then the teacher took me to the principal's office. And after that, I mean, I didn't get suspended because I told the teacher, like, these kids have been bothering me since day one. So the kid got suspended. And after that, nobody messed with me. And that's when I learned probably one of the most important lessons is I need to determine how I want people to treat me. All right. So from then on, when we moved to a different school, I let it known from day one. And my name is Iggy'S. If you want, you can call me Iggy, but that's it. Right. You treat me good, I'm going to treat you good. I'm going to treat you good regardless. And until you start crossing that line, I'm going to let it know. So I started to be way more assertive with how I wanted people to communicate with me and how I wanted people to treat me, because I realized that because I was being so passive before, all these kids were just walking around, walking on me, calling me whatever they want, making fun of me, all these different things. It's because I never asserted myself and I just let it go on. All right. So
that's an interesting perspective, because the flip side of that could be that you're pushed around, you're bullied, you're treated differently, and you could just get angry and you could just feel that frustration and resentment and just live that way, which is obviously an unhealthy way to be. But, no one would have faulted you if all of that created you to build a shell around yourself and not develop into a person who can be assertive. But in actuality, the opposite could happen and you'd be very insecure. So, but you learned that lesson, which I got to be honest, I don't know if a lot of people would learn that lesson in that given situation, but that was an important thing for you moving forward.
It was. I mean, it changed everything. And I think the reason why is because, I knew how to defend myself, because kids here in the US have no idea how rough it can be.
Right.
Right. I came from sleeping on concrete, right? Came from walking to get water, not having toilet, wiping my butt with leaves and all these different things. So these kids, they had no idea where I was coming from. So for me, I think because I had that background, and I knew how strong I was, right? And once I realized that, I was a lot tougher than they thought I was, and a lot tougher than they were, I was like, I can assert myself and let them know, like, hey, don't just mess with me. Like, you can't treat me however you want. I've already had to do a lot of growing up, a lot more than what most kids do by the time I was their age.
Did that then change your relationship with people? You started building friends and things like that?
Yeah, that's when, because I hated being bullied, I wanted to create an environment where I could be free to be myself. And any kid who was my friend got that same privilege where they could just be free to be themselves, and I wouldn't judge them. I wouldn't make fun of them. So I started to become very popular because I was creating that environment for people. And I realized that people want to be treated well. And sometimes they think it's dorky or nerdy, and, and because I made it okay, everyone else around me started feeling free to be themselves. And that's when I really realized that it's really important to create this safety around those that you care about, to let them be able to express themselves, and then being able to extend that to other people, because that's what deep down we really want, to be able to express ourselves and be free to be ourselves and not feel like we're going to be judged for it.
Right. I think that is important for all of us in any situation, is that we have it in our power. I'm totally getting inspired by you, by the way. We have it in our power to let the world know how we are to be treated, what we will accept, what we won't accept. And then those people have a decision to make. Get on board or go away, right? And when you have that, you do, I think, then garner respect from people because they see that in you. And yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to align with someone who is creating that environment? Now, in all this, you mentioned athletics, you got really into football, you got so good that you get a scholarship to UCLA.
Yeah.
Tell me about what happened there, though, because obviously, like, things went badly for you.
Yeah. So, I got an offer to UCLA and a few other colleges. And right before I got to really take advantage of those opportunities, I got injured. I got injured pretty badly and wasn't able to play football at the level that I was used to. And I lost a lot of those offers and ended up having to go to a junior college as a result of it. And then ultimately ended up deciding not to continue just because of my injury and really because of how I felt, I went through, like,
what was the injury?
I fractured my knee. So I don't even know like the specific term for it, but like the actual knee itself
Wow.
was completely fractured. So it was a clean fracture. So I didn't have to go through surgery to get it fixed, and it was able to heal naturally, but it took longer. That recovery process was much longer than I anticipated. Even though after my body fully recovered, my mind was still injured. Right. I didn't have the same kind of confidence to just throw my body at people, right, and to just throw myself into those same kind of situations on the field. And I realized I just started to lose my passion for the game, and ultimately decided I didn't want to continue playing anymore.
How did that make you feel though? Because that was something that was important to you. So when you realize you have to give that up, do you go through depression? Does your health decline? Anything like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I ended up putting on like 35 pounds over that time just because I didn't know what to do with myself. I started listening to what people were saying. Some people would be like, "Oh, Iggy, like you're buff for no reason. Like you're not playing. Like what do you like? You need to do something with your size. Like what are you doing with yourself?" And I started listening to those types of comments for the first time, and really started questioning myself, and started to feel insecure, and eventually just kind of let myself go, just to kind of just fit in. And I never cared about fitting in. It was a big identity crisis that I went through. Right. And so I had to like figure out what I needed to do. And I had my rude awakening when one of my buddies invited me to be an extra in a photo shoot at a gym. And when I saw the pictures, I was just like mortified because I was like, oh my goodness. Like I was like, man, I need to get my fat ass in shape. To be honest, I was shocked.
Yeah, well, for you, I mean, you're a big, tall guy. Like 35 pounds probably doesn't look as bad as it does on someone, let's say like me, but you also have a standard for yourself. I mean, you
Yeah,
have a standard with the way people treat you. You have a standard of what you expect from yourself and what you see. And yeah, like anyone else, when you don't like what you see, everything is like you're lost and you have to figure out what to do.
exactly. It was a reality check for me, but I'm really glad I had it because I was like, all right, I need to figure this out. So that's what led me into studying the human body, studying metabolism, studying exercise, because I knew I was on an academic scholarship at the time. And I was working full time, going to school full time, and I wasn't able to move the same way that I was used to. I used to train 4 to 5 hours a day, and that just wasn't realistic. So I was like, I got to figure out how I can be efficient and just how can I get myself in shape in the most efficient way. Right. And that's when I started discovering like the hormones that are responsible for how you look and feel, and really starting to understand that it wasn't how much you worked out that determined how you look, but really the types of things that you did as far as exercise and how you ate as far as like your nutrition.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because this is very interesting to me. What are you talking about? Like when you're telling me about the hormones that determine some of that stuff, because there's a lot of us that throw our asses in the gym an hour a day or 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, and we try to get our nutrition plan, and things are working, but they work slowly. We could be working against ourselves, is what it sounds like based on what you said. What are some of the things that maybe we need to know?
Yeah, so there are 3 really master hormones that affect those things. So you have your cortisol, which if you have an increased level of cortisol, it's a stress hormone. So your body starts to reduce your testosterone, your leptins go all over the place, and you start to store fat. And it's essentially no matter what you do, you can train your butt off in the gym, but you can't out train your biology. Right. So there's really not much you can do if your hormones out of whack. And then I started to understand that your leptin controls like your body's ability to burn fat. Right. And it controls your appetite. So if you can increase the secretion of your leptin and get your body to communicate with your gut more efficiently, where when you eat, you start to register that you're actually satisfied and you're not still hungry. So now you're not overeating because your body's communicating more efficiently with itself. And then on top of that, you're also able to burn fat more efficiently because you have a higher leptin level. And then testosterone as well for both men and women also helps with fat burning, muscle building, and just recovery in general.
Okay.
So
So if I'm a person who is looking like I actually feel I don't have my any levels any documentation of what my stress levels are, but I can say I live a stressful life, right? I know I feel stress a lot. It's I work very hard, whatever it is, family situations. And if I, let's say I'm that person, what am I to do to say, okay, I need to find a way to bring my cortisol down, or I need to raise my leptin or my testosterone? What do you say to someone on how they can even do those things?
yeah, so what I found is like starting with your mindset and being able to just kind of like detox your mind. I was fortunate enough to go through I had a scholarship to a Christian college where I learned on a deeper level that there's just three aspects to our beings, right? So we have our body, we have our mind, and we have our soul. And I started to really get fascinated with how everything is really interconnected, right? And when I started to understand like our hormones are things that we can't see, but they have a real physical effect and real physical impact on how we look and feel. So I had to realize that the things that we do with our soul, like our passions and the things that enjoy us and fill us up and help us live a fulfilled life, also affect our hormonal makeup, right? If you're being stressed out and you're doing things that are causing you stress, it messes up your hormones. So that's one of the first things we do with our clients is we get them to start living a life that's as stress-free as possible, right? You can't control how much stress your work puts on you, but you can set up your mind to where your body is responding in a different way and you're looking at it in a different way, which is ultimately going to affect how much cortisol your body secretes, right? If you're able to.
Does someone then working on their mindset, does that mean meditation? Does that mean that they're doing, reading stuff or breathing exercises? Like, what are some of the things that you would suggest?
Yeah. So we have what we call our 180 success habits, right? So essentially it's your morning affirmation, taking time in the morning to reflect on what you're grateful for, right? So one, doing your morning affirmation, taking time to reflect on what you're grateful for, and then taking time to do what we call like just an act of kindness, whether it's letting somebody that you care about know that you love them, or letting somebody know that you appreciate something that they did for you, and just taking time to do those things really put your mind at ease. And now you start your day feeling really, really positive about what's happening in your life. And you're seeing more of like the positive things that are going on. And by doing that, you're training your subconscious to just become more acute and more tentative to the good that's going on in your life, which by doing that reduces your stress.
Right.
Right. It reduces the amount of negativity that you're focusing on. You start focusing on the positive. And then what we do is have our clients do what we call a midday mental detox. So in the afternoon, when you're typically your busiest, you're taking time to breathe and just to meditate and just shut off all electronics and just remove yourself from the anything that's causing any kind of negative stimulus. And then we do an evening reflection where you're focusing on and journaling about the good things that happened during the day. Right. So the way that we have it set up is systematically training your subconscious to start to identify what's going right in your life and what's going good and not the negative. Right. Because we as humans, we're just so conditioned. Like you can have a white sheet of paper, and if you put a dot on it, small dot on that white sheet of paper, we're naturally zoom in on that dot, even though when you look out at it, it's really a small speck on a sheet of paper that's actually white. So it's just rewiring your subconscious to start to look at your life in that way. Mm-hmm. And all of our clients, when they start after the first week, they're already starting to notice one, to lose weight, which is pretty funny because it's not like they're doing anything crazy. They're not working out, they're not doing anything crazy nutritionally. It's just getting your body to start to secrete the right kind of hormones and reducing your stress hormones.
Right. Is there anything naturally that people do then to increase leptin? Is that, did I say it right? Leptin?
Yeah.
And testosterone?
Yeah. So as far as like your leptin goes, and your testosterone, your testosterone is going to be impacted with some like the way that you train and the kind of foods that you eat. But like your leptin, you can increase it by increasing the amount of proteins that you're eating and just having it to where your protein is about 40% of your nutritional makeup when you eat. So having more protein is going to naturally do that. Increasing fibrous carbohydrates, so like eating more green vegetables and things like that will also help increase your leptin levels. And then training using compound exercises is going to help to increase both your testosterone and your leptin as well.
Okay. Well, we definitely qualified that you know what you're talking about, because this is so fascinating to me to get that kind of information. And you made this your life. I mean, you got fascinated by this. You looked inward. What's going on with my body? How does the human body work in terms of training and nutrition? And how do people, seem to balance it out and get it right and live healthy lives? You then got certified as a personal trainer, correct? And you wanted this to become your life and your business. How did that all come about?
It would just kind of happen organically. I was just so immersed. I have an addictive personality, right? So if I like something, I really, really like it. If I don't like it, I really, really don't like it.
Love or hate. That's how it is for you.
So there's no in between. So I just fell in love and fully immersed myself in it, switched my major, start studying kinesiology and start studying like biology and just the human anatomy, and just really went in and started really diving deep into it. And then as I started to find ways to get myself results, I got it to a point where I was only training like 15 to 30 minutes a day. And it would shock people. They're like, dude, like, how do you look so good? You must be training like 2 to 3 hours a day. I was like, no, I'm doing like 15 minutes. Right. And they'd be like, what the heck? Like, you got to show me what you're doing. So I essentially started working with some people before I got certified, and then being able to see them get results using a similar strategy and similar method to me. I was like, I want to be able to do this professionally. I just got addicted to seeing how people would transform in their lives. And it'd be like, wow, like, I can't believe how much better I feel. I feel so much more confident. I started pursuing this new job that I was a little afraid of. I just had the confidence to push through it now. And so that's when I was like, I need to get certified. And I actually got my certification in like a month because I was already studying most of the stuff. I got into it and I was like, oh, like I already know a lot of this stuff. So I went and took my tests, got the certification. And then it's just been, since then, I was just figuring out how to adapt the system that I developed to accommodate for people's ever evolving lifestyles and ever evolving needs, and just getting it down to where there's some just so core principles that if people start installing into their life, it'll get them similar results.
So that's what drove you, because I'm there's plenty of personal trainers affiliated with a gym. You go there, you say, hey, I need a personal trainer. They introduce you to so-and-so, and now you're paying a monthly fee or weekly fee, and that's your personal trainer. That's not you. Like, you are running your own thing. Like, you're doing it virtually in many instances. What's that like? How big has that been for you? How successful has it been?
It's been great. We've worked one of our programs has helped over 2,000 people so far year to date. We've worked with hundreds of busy professionals. We'll typically work with people who are working over like 40 hours a week, just because it's very specific, how we approach health and fitness. So we don't believe in like giving people just like a one size fits all. It's just figuring out what is going to work for them on an individual level, how things can fit into their lifestyle. So we developed our app and essentially transitioned from working with people in person to virtually, because I really believe that's how we can serve people in the best way possible, is teaching them how to do this for themselves. Right? Because as an in-person trainer, I was training people, but really it was exercise is only 10 to 15% of the equation. Right. So I started to recognize that, and I started to realize like some of my clients didn't even have time to work out. So I would coach them on the different areas that they needed to, and they would get great results, never stepping foot in the gym. All right. So I was like, how can I focus and serve people doing the things that are going to have the biggest impact in their long-term transformation. Right. And that's where it just made sense, like transitioning online, starting to focusing on the highest leverage tasks when it came to weight loss and when it came to improving your metabolism and just getting yourself in just better shape overall. 90% of people don't need a crazy workout regimen.
Yeah, it sounds like the way your approach is to really work with people from the inside out. And that right there is definitely unique from my perspective, because I often think of things as, get your workout in the gym, follow a program, get your nutrition right, and everything else seems to work together. But, it's not easy for people. And I can see why they would need coaching. It's not easy for people to just stop in the middle of their busy day and just take a moment and think about the positive. Like, that takes training. It's much easier. I would think it's much easier to say, I got a half hour, let me go to the gym and just, bang out some reps and feel like I exerted myself, than to actually stop and just take that moment. I think that is like incredibly difficult for people to do. And that's also sounds like it's very valuable for people to do.
It is. It's very, very important, because our life as it is designed, like the Western civilization is designed to send your cortisol levels through the roof. That's really what it is. Yeah. All the stimulants that we're experiencing every day, the stress of work, getting up in the mornings, driving, all these different things, like constant stimulus and just the pressure that we put on ourselves is what causes our cortisol levels to go through the roof. Whereas, like, if you're in a place like Nigeria, where you don't have a ton of those kind of stressors, right? And your main focus is, how do I eat to take care of myself, but you're in an environment where you're surrounded by people, you're kind of like in a tribe, and they're all working together to overcome things. People they communicate openly with one another. So there's not this like individual pressure that we face here in the US and what most people face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's hitting me with your story is, it's very cliche to just talk about how our experiences help us develop into who we are. But that is so true for you. It sounds like everything that has come along that has been difficult has been able to make you that much stronger. I mean, you have this personality from young age, it seems like, where you've been able to come out of every situation stronger. I mean, not everybody clicks in their head and goes, I just need to be more assertive and let people know how to treat me. Now, that doesn't happen for everyone, but that is what it's been for you. So it's no surprise that you naturally got into this field to try to help people through everything that they struggle through. Because let's be honest, weight gain, obesity, poor health, that thing is rampant in the world. It's rampant in this country, and people are struggling and they give up very quickly because it feels like they're just always fighting a losing battle. And after a while, you just say, I'm tired of that. So I'm done.
Yeah, you just give up.
Yeah.
And what we try to focus with people is like, our core principles is like, one, what you do, you got to be able, it needs to be effective, right? So we're not focusing on just like the pounds lost. Like, how can we get it so that you're doing the most with the smallest amount of effort, right? How can we make sure like your program is effective? And then two, it's got to be enjoyable. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it. You're always going to go back to what's comfortable and what you enjoy. So people think like they start a diet and they start a workout regimen and just need to toughen it out for 12 weeks. That's a wrong approach, because if it's not enjoyable, guess what's going to happen after those 12 weeks are up? You're going to go right back to your old habits. And then now you perpetuate this diet cycle of death, is what we teach our clients. Is you do something difficult, you survive this difficult diet, right? And then you're like, yeah, I'm never going to go back to that. And then you go back to your old habits, and now you're looking for the next diet and you're going from one diet to the next. So it's got to be enjoyable, whatever you're doing. And that's like what we really focus on, is how can we tailor this so that you actually enjoy it, right? If you like eating brownies, all right, so how can we fit that into your regimen, right? If you're a cookie head, if you love chips, like how do you fit that in? Because We can't cut it out, because if you really enjoy it, guess what? When we're done working together, you're going to go back to it. So
Oh yeah, it's calling your name for 12 weeks. Like, just wait, I'm still here. You can eat me.
Exactly. So how do we do it so that you actually enjoy what you're doing and you actually enjoy the process, right? And then 2, 3, we need to provide you lots of support. All right. So you got to be getting support. You need to be getting feedback. You need to know that there's somebody there that if you have questions, if you need help, or if something's not working for you, somebody's there to be able to help you and make those necessary adjustments for you so that you're back on track. Right. And so when we put those 3 things together, we don't even focus on, hey, you need to follow this specific meal plan. We're like, hey, like, what do you like to eat? What are your eating habits? And how can we tailor this so that it fits your natural eating habits without you having to make this crazy radical lifestyle change that you're not going to sustain after your time with us anyway. So why waste our time doing that?
Right. Iggy, what's the name of your company?
Try 180 Coaching.
Try 180 Coaching.
Or somebody can just go and look up like iggyfitness.com.
Okay. I want to be able to like let people know about that. And your company, you have several people involved. Like, it's not just you giving all this advice out, right? Like, you have a team.
Yeah, so we have an entire team. We have a team of fitness advisors for those who are submitting applications to find out about a program. And then we have an awesome team of coaches who do a fantastic job of supporting their clients and making sure that they're going through and learning the core principles and being able to get results for themselves.
That's awesome. Listen, I think that there are a lot of times in your life that you could have just been like, I'm done with all this and I don't care, but you didn't do it. And now you get to push that forward and help other people. So I assume you must feel like you're really doing your best, like living your best life.
Absolutely. I really feel like I was put on this earth to inspire others. Like one of my things, like I want to be a dealer of inspiration. And I learned that if you can inspire people, then they're going to take action. Right. So I love, and that's what we're all about. It's like, how to inspire people to change our lives? How do we transform our clients into what we like to call a whoa bomb? So we call our clients a whoa bomb when they've made such a transformation that they look at themselves in the mirror one day and go, whoa, I look bomb. Right. So
I was just going to ask, like, what's a whoa bomb?
So that's what our focus is, right? We want to create as many whoa bombs as possible and just get people to look at themselves and just really fall in love with what they see in the mirror, not just from the inside out, right? They love their confidence levels at a high level. They're looking at what they're seeing. They like what they see. And we have a saying with our team is that, you know, when you look good, you feel good, right? And when you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, then pay good. And if they pay good, you are good. So that's our singular focus, is how do we help people really look and feel the best way possible? Because it really does affect all other areas of their life. You know, it affects how they perform at work. It affects their relationships. And oftentimes clients, when they go through our program, they're like, man, like I had the confidence to, like, you know, ask for a raise or go and pursue a different career path that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. And it really does start to affect us. So it's like they start looking good, they start feeling good, and they start playing this game of life the right way. And then it affects all the other areas of their life.
That sounds fantastic. Listen, Iggy, before I let you go, I want to do this fun thing that we do. I ask the big fat 5 questions. So I'm just going to start hitting you with them right now. All right.
All right.
Favorite food?
That's hard. I like food. It's hard to say. I would say, actually, I'm a big fan of burgers. I like burgers.
All right. No, nothing wrong with that. Everyone loves a good burger, I would think. I mean, especially, well, I don't know. Do you have a specific place you like to go to, or do you make your own?
I'll typically make my own, but if I'm going to eat out, I'll typically do like a barbecue cheeseburger.
Sounds good. I'm getting hungry already. What's your favorite activity to do?
Favorite activity is going to be kind of nerdy. I like studying technology.
Right.
I'm a systems guy, so I like learning new operating systems and things like that. So I'm a nerd when it comes to things like that.
All right. What do you like to do what do you go to when you need a little motivation or you need to de-stress?
I have this thing called like a neck hammock. So what I'll do is I got it from this company called Relaxing. And what I'll do is I'll lay down in it, listen to some classical music, and just let my mind just wander into sweet nothing.
That sounds fantastic. I actually wish I could. Now I'm like thinking, because there's nothing more relaxing than when you could actually just like turn off your mind for a moment, right? It's hard to do. So if you find a way to do it, that's awesome. Best piece of advice, either that maybe you've gotten from someone or something that you feel very strongly about that you like to tell people.
I think one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten was never let anyone take your confidence. You know, we give people our confidence, right? So if we're feeling insecure, we're giving our confidence to whatever's creating that insecurity, right? And so never let anyone take your confidence, and remember that the pain that we experience as we're pursuing anything great is temporary, but the beauty that comes from what we create is eternal. All right. So those are like the things that I hold very close, you know, and I try to remember that every single day. So whether it's like temporary pain from trying to figure out a problem or trying to get to a goal, you know, just remember like that pain is temporary, but like the impact that it can have is going to be eternal.
That's awesome. That really is. I love that. I love that. I really do. What are some of your goals moving forward?
I think my goal right now has been empowering more trainers to essentially do the same thing that I'm doing, because I can only affect so many people. So if I can teach others how to do what we do, now they're able to have the same kind of impact, and we can essentially have an exponential growth in our collective impact that we're having. So that's kind of my goal right now, is like educating and equipping our team of trainers and expanding our team to grow.
Well, listen, we hope you do grow. I want to see you take this light that you've shined on this podcast episode today out to everyone and who definitely needs some help and looks to you to get that help. How can people get in touch with you or get in touch, you know, look at your company, any way of doing that?
Yeah, they can either look up Iggy Fitness on Facebook and send our page a message, or they can just go to our website, iggyfitness.com, and either submit an application or sign up for one of our free programs, or just send us a direct message on the website.
All right. And we're going to put that information in the show notes as well, so that people can look into that if they want. Iggy, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you for being here with me, man. Thanks
for having me, man. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I hope people are really inspired and to find it helpful.
What a conversation. Iggy makes us realize that there are no excuses, right? It's very easy when we have situations, when we deal with adversity, to feel like this isn't fair and make those excuses. And those excuses end up keeping us away from achieving our goals. But what Iggy shows us is that when you use that to fortify your resolve, to be better and stronger and smarter, or whatever it is you're trying to do, you are unstoppable. I mean, because look where he is now. He really is living his best life. That's why I said that near the end. I'm like, it sounds like you are, like you're doing God's work, like you're doing something that's meaningful to you. And that is inspiring. If it's not, I don't know what else to tell you. It should be inspiring, because this is the kind of thing that you can apply to your life. If you're in a weight loss journey right now, what can I do to make it work? Not what's not working for me. Let me not focus on the negative here. What am I going to do to make this happen? What's important to me? What's the vision of myself that I have in front of me? And how can I use everything that's affected me to power myself through the next step of my life. Mental toughness. It's not necessarily easy to achieve. It is something like any muscle. It's something you need to train. It's something I'm training right now. But when we get that muscle trained, when we get that mental toughness, who is going to stop you? Thank you once again for tuning into the show. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you are allowed to leave a rating and review, so feel free to do so as we appreciate the feedback. If you listen somewhere else and you want to let us know how you feel, you can reach us on Instagram and Facebook at Big Fat Life Podcast, and on Twitter, we're Big Fat Life Pod. As always, I thank you for allowing me to share my journey and the story of so many others. Remember, it's a long journey, it's a big fat journey, but one we can reach as long as we stay the course and stay strong. Music in the show, You Can't Fail by Destiny and Time. Our theme song is Clear Eyes by Silent Partner. Our amazing producer is my awesome wife, Alyssa Rosado. Thanks again for listening. Have a great week.